All I ever wanted was a life in my mountain, free from you and your so-called merits.
What's up, meta nerds? This complete breakdown will tell the story of the Monkey King, aka Sun Wukong, pulling from his chapters in the Chinese classic novel Journey to the West. Using the centuries-old illustrations, the earliest is printed around 1592 and set nearly 1,000 years earlier in the Tang Dynasty. The work weaves together Chinese folk religions, mythology, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoist concepts, and you'll see they're often in vigorous conflict with each other, significant of the real-world changes going on in China at the time. While telling a monkey's tale that lives on in worship at countless shrines across Asia, you'll notice things in just about any anime you can think of. In some cases, it's just stylistically, while others like Avatar, One Piece with Luffy, and most famously Son Goku, whose name is just the Japanese translation of Sun Wukong. You'll see many examples of direct abilities, magical weapons, and personality traits that are influenced by the classic novel. And of course now with the rapidly rising hit game Sun Wukong. I've seen nothing but great reviews so far, and without any spoilers for the game, I wasn't sure when making this how exactly it would line up with the game, but from what I could tell, you could see this video, the real-world story, as a sort of prequel to the game, with me noticing a ton of stuff in just the first 10 minutes that was referencing things that came about in Journey to the West. So I'm confident that after watching this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of the characters, events, background, and even items in the game. Some of it's pretty deep. For example, there's something Erlong says right in the open of the game, but in Chapter 4 you'll see why that's a bit misleading. And of course you'll see a ton of other references. All the sources used are linked down in the description. It was difficult for me to piece all this together, with a ton of different translations and versions of the story, with this video just pulling from the monkey arc, but it's one of the most amazing uses of the internet I've ever seen. That's not hyperbole. Go check it out. It's amazing to see all these ancient works preserved digitally for posterity. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Chapter 1. First would come the laws, the grand calculus of the cosmos, dictating that a single cycle spans 129,600 years, elegantly segmented into 12 phases, each enduring for 10,800 years. Before creation stirred, heaven and earth were united in the great vagueness. As the dawn of a new cycle broke in phase 1, heaven established its foundation. The light and pure elements ascended, giving birth to the sun, moon, stars, and constellations all at once. By the zenith of Phase 2, the heavy and impure coalesced into the earth, forming both water, fire, mountains, stones, and the very ground itself. As Phase 3 began, the essences of heaven and earth intertwined, and from their union emerged all living beings. At the climax of this phase, humanity was created. Long ago, in an era governed by the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, 4 great continents existed: the eastern continent of Superior Body, the western continent of Cattle Gift, the southern continent of Jambu, and the northern continent of Kuru, all encircled by the 4 seas. Beyond these seas lay the distant land of Aeoli, and in the midst of the ocean stood the illustrious Flowers and Fruit Mountain, the ancestral artery of the 10 continents and the 3 islands, formed at the very inception of creation. The mountain's peak soared above the eastern sea, providing sanctuary to a myriad of plants and supernatural creatures. Atop this mountain, a large, magical stone, shaped by the forces of creation itself, the yin and yang, absorbed the world's essences over countless ages. Eventually, it developed a magic womb, which one day burst open to reveal a stone egg. The wind carved this egg into the shape of a stone monkey, which then sprang to life. Upon awakening, the stone monkey bowed to the 4 cardinal directions, inadvertently unleashing 2 rays of golden light from his eyes that shot up to the heavens, startling the supreme heavenly sage, the greatly compassionate Jade Emperor of the Azure Vault of Heaven. Concerned, the Jade Emperor dispatched 2 officers, Thousand Mile Eye with his gift of clairvoyance, and Wind Accompanying Ear with his divine hearing, going to the southern heavenly gate to investigate. They soon reported back, attributing this phenomenon to a magical creature below, which the Jade Emperor, in his boundless wisdom and mercy, decided to leave it be. Back on Earth, the stone monkey matured rapidly, indulging in food and drink and forming bonds with a troop of monkeys. They lived carefree on the island until one day, their curiosity about the origin of the stream they bathed in led them to climb the mountain in search of its source. Upon reaching it, they discovered a waterfall cascading from a spring, merging with the sea. The monkeys decided that whoever could pass through the waterfall unscathed would be their king. The stone monkey, confident and eager, volunteered and leaped through the waterfall. On the other side, he found a spacious cavern that resembled a house, complete with stone furniture. A stone tablet at the center of the bridge leading to the cavern bore the inscription, "Happy Land of the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit, Cave Heaven of the Water Curtain." The stone monkey recognized this place as a perfect refuge, shielded from the elements and the whims of heaven. The stone monkey returned to the others and led them to the cavern, where they all moved in and promptly began squabbling over the rooms and furniture. Seizing the moment, the stone monkey seated himself in the place of honor and reminded them of their promise to make him king. The monkeys fulfilled their vow, hailing him as the great king of the 1,000 years. Thus, the stone monkey ascended the throne, bestowing upon himself the title Handsome Monkey King. He established a bureaucracy for his subjects and ruled with ease for a time. However, during a banquet, he was overcome with sorrow at the thought of his inevitable death and descent to the underworld of the Yama King, sparked by the death of an elderly monkey that he was close friends with. A gibbon advised him to seek enlightenment and immortality to escape the cycle of reincarnation, just like the Buddhas, Immortals, and Holy Sages. Determined, the Monkey King vowed to uncover the secrets of immortality and resolved to leave the mountain the next day in search of the Immortals. After a grand farewell feast, the Monkey King set sail on a raft, guided by the winds towards the southern continent of Jambu. After days of sailing, he arrived at its northwestern shore. There he stripped a fisherman of his clothes and dressed as a human, wandering through the provinces and prefectures of the continent, learning the ways of human speech and behavior. But everywhere he inquired about immortality, he found the people preoccupied with worldly concerns. He journeyed for 8 or 9 years, eventually reaching the Western Ocean. Believing that the immortals resided on the other side, he crossed over to the western continent of Cattle Gift. Upon reaching the summit of a mountain, he heard a song about immortals coming from the forest. The song was sung by a woodcutter, whom the Monkey King initially mistook for an immortal. The woodcutter explained that he had learned the song from a real immortal who lived nearby, in the Cave of the Setting Moon and the 3 stars on Spirit Tower Heart Mountain. Eager, the Monkey King followed the path south for 2 or 3 miles and arrived at the cave. The surroundings of the cave were as beautiful as paradise, but the Monkey King, unsure how to proceed, waited outside, surviving merely on pine cones. Before long, an immortal boy emerged to investigate the disturbance, and when the Monkey King approached him, he introduced himself and his desire to study under Putizushi. It appeared that the immortal patriarch had foreseen his arrival, and the boy escorted him inside. There, the Monkey King beheld Putizushi, also known as Subhuti or Master Bodhi, who was seated in an elevated position, surrounded by 36 minor immortals. After paying his respects, the Monkey King was asked his name and origin, and upon hearing that he hailed from the far-off flowers and fruit mountain of Aloy, Putizushi initially ordered him to be cast out, doubting this story of his long journey. However, after learning that the Monkey King had wandered the continents for over a decade, the patriarch inquired about his surname. When the Monkey King confessed that he had none, Putizushi offered to name him, and after long consideration, the patriarch bestowed upon him the Dharma name Sun Wukong, which means monkey awakened to emptiness, a name that filled him with immense joy. Chapter 2. After Sun Wukong began his formal training under Putizushi, he immersed himself in a disciplined routine. He studied language and conduct under the guidance of his spiritual elder brothers, studied the scriptures, discussed the way, practiced calligraphy, and performed rituals like burning incense. In his spare moments, he diligently swept the grounds, tended the vegetable path, grew flowers, cared for trees, gathered kindlings, lit fires, carried water, and fetched soy. Thus, 7 years passed unnoticed by the monkey. During one of Putizushi's teachings on the Great Way, Monkey suddenly began to leap around wildly. The patriarch, intrigued, asked him how long he had been at the school. Monkey could only recall having enjoyed 7 bountiful feasts of peach on the tender Peach Hill, which is how he estimated his stay was around 7 years. The patriarch decided it was time for Monkey to embark on a deeper exploration of the Way. Initially, Monkey was eager to learn anything, as long as it involved even a hint of the Way, or the Tao. However, when Putizushi offered to teach him the way of magic arts, the way of sects, involving medicine, regarding scriptures, and chanting the name of a Buddha, through which one could also summon immortals and sages, or the way of silence, which involves abstaining from grain, preserving one's essence, not playing with oneself, silence, inaction, meditation, abstaining from speech, eating vegetarian food, and performing certain exercises when asleep or while standing up, as well as going into trances and being walled up in total silence, or even the way of action, which included refining elixirs according to formulas, lighting fires under cauldrons, consuming, quote, red lead, and purifying, quote, autumn stone. as well as drinking women's milk. And although all of these granted unique magical powers, Monkey rejected them all, as none of them led to immortality. This refusal angered the patriarch, who scolded Monkey and struck him 3 times on the head with his cane before leaving the hall. Although the other disciples were irritated by Monkey's behavior, he was secretly elated, recognizing the cryptic message hidden in the patriarch's actions. He spent the rest of the day preparing for what was to come. Long after nightfall, when he judged it to be the 3rd watch, Monkey slipped away from his sleeping quarters and stealthily entered Putizushi's room, where he knelt patiently. When the patriarch awoke and found Monkey there, he was surprised and asked why he had come. Monkey explained that he had deciphered the hidden message from the previous day and begged to be taught the secret of immortality. Pleased with his insight, the patriarch revealed the knowledge to him alone. For the next 3 years, Monkey diligently cultivated his path to immortality, feeling his inner strength grow with time. However, during one lesson, the patriarch warned him of the 3 disasters that heaven would send to destroy anyone who attained immortality: a thunderbolt, a hidden fire, and a monster wind, each occurring once every 500 years. To avoid these perils, Putizushi offered to teach him either the 36 heavenly transformations or the 72 earthly transformations. Monkey chose the latter and practiced until he mastered all 72 transformations. With this mastery, Putizushi also taught him the cloud somersault technique, enabling him to travel 60,000 miles with a single leap. Free from all constraints, Monkey reveled in the joys of immortality, wandering as he pleased. But when he began to show off his transformations at the request of his senior disciples, the patriarch was displeased with him. He viewed this as Monkey abusing his spiritual gifts and decided that it was time for him to return home in order to ensure his own safety. Putizushi warned him to never mention their connection, under the threat of eternal banishment to the 9th darkness. After promising to keep the secret, Monkey left the cave on a somersault cloud, reaching Flowers and Fruit Mountain within 2 hours. After 20 long years, Monkey finally returned to his homeland, now vastly stronger, wiser, and immortal. But upon landing, he learned from his fellow monkeys that during his absence, a demon had taken over the Water Curtain Cave and kidnapped many of the young monkeys, declaring himself the Demon King of Confusion. Enraged, Monkey resolved to punish the invader. He soon found the demon's lair, the Water Belly Cave, in a mountain to the north. The demon's underlings spotted Monkey and rushed to inform their king. But despite being unarmed, Monkey confronted the fully armed and armored Demon King, who underestimated him due to his size and threw the first punch. Monkey dodged the blow, countered with a strike to the ribs, and kicked the demon's backside while shattering several of his joints. The Demon King then seized a steel sword as large as a plank and swung it at Monkey's head. With agility, Monkey dodged the attack and used one of his spells that he had learned. He plucked a hair from his head, chewed it up, and blew it into the air, transforming it into hundreds of small monkeys. The sheer number of these monkeys overwhelmed the Demon King, beating him mercilessly until Wukong seized the demon's sword and split his skull in 2. After the battle, Sun Wukong led the other monkeys in exterminating the remaining demons and rescued the captives. Using a spell to conjure a hurricane, he instantly transported them all back to the Water Curtain Cave. The monkeys rejoiced at the return of their king, and that many of their young were now safe. After recounting his adventures and the skills he had acquired, careful not to mention Putizushi by name, Monkey decided to pass the name Sun on to all of his fellow monkeys, uniting all the monkeys on the mountain under one family name. Chapter 3. After Monkey's victory over the Demon King of Confusion, he and his troop of monkeys began daily drills, practicing military arts with bamboo spears and wooden swords, though Monkey knew these makeshift weapons would be less useful against real adversaries. His 4 advisors suggest that they needed genuine weapons, which could be found in the princely capital of Aolai. Determined, Monkey traveled there using his cloud somersault, and upon spotting the weapons he sought after, he decided to steal them using his magic. He summoned a fearsome gale filled with sand and stones, creating enough chaos to sneak into the palace armory unnoticed. There he cast a duplication spell upon himself, which allowed him to carry all the weapons back to his mountain on the same stormy wind. Upon his return to Flowers and Fruit Mountain, the monkeys were overjoyed and quickly divided the weapons among themselves. The next day, when Wukong assembled his fully armed soldiers, their number exceeded 47,000. This show of force alarmed all the creatures on the mountain, prompting the 72 demon kings who resided there to come and pay homage to Wukong. They offered tributes and joined in his celebrations, securing Flowers and Fruit Mountain as an impregnable stronghold, described as a wall of bronze. But it wasn't long before Monkey grew bored of the sword that he had taken from his previous foe. His advisors suggested that only an immortal weapon would be worthy of his skill. They advised him to follow the stream under the iron bridge that led to the Dragon Palace of the East Sea and request such a weapon there. Following their advice, he journeyed to the palace, where he was spotted by a patrolling Yaksha. The Yaksha quickly informed Ao Guang, the Dragon King of the East, who resided in the magnificent Crystal Palace. Hearing of Wukong's arrival, the Dragon King, accompanied by his descendants and soldiers, went out to greet him. And when Monkey requested a weapon suitable for his abilities, the Dragon King ordered his officers to fetch some of the finest weapons in his arsenal. Commander Perch brought out a massive sword, but Monkey found it too cumbersome. Colonel Mackerel and Commander Guard Eel then presented a 9-pronged spear weighing 3,600 pounds, while Provincial Commander Bream and Garrison Commander Carp offered a patterned heavenly halberd weighing 7,200 pounds, but both were too light for Monkey. After rejecting even the heaviest weapon in the armory, the Dragon King found himself at a loss. Fortunately, the Dragon Queen reminded him of a miraculous piece of iron that once anchored the Milky Way. This was one of the nails used by Yu the Great to control the floods by securing the depths of rivers and seas. The iron had recently begun to emit a rosy glow, signifying its auspicious nature, and the Dragon King decided to present it to Monkey. Wukong was led to the center of the sea treasury, where the miraculous iron radiated a dazzling golden light, and when Monkey approached it, he found it to be a 20-foot long iron pillar. As soon as Monkey wished for it to be shorter and thinner, the iron complied, shrinking with each wish until it could be easily held in his hand. He read the inscription on the iron, discovering its name, the Rui Jingu Bang, weighing an astonishing 13,500 pounds. Delighted with his new weapon, he decided to test it out, striking terror into countless sea creatures. Though he wasn't just satisfied with the weapon, he also demanded armor to match. Unwilling to leave empty-handed, he threatened to use his new cudgel on the Dragon King if his request wasn't met. Desperate, the Dragon King summoned his 3 brothers, who ruled the other seas. The Alligator General struck the bell, and the Terrapin Marshal sent the call. In no time, the 3 other Dragon Kings arrived at the palace. Ao Chen of the South Sea, Ao Shun of the North Sea, and Ao Run of the West Sea. After Ao Guang explained the situation, Ao Chen proposed arresting Monkey, but Ao Run said they should just grant the monkey's wish and, once he left, report him to heaven for punishment. The brothers agreed on this plan and gathered a set of fine armor, including a pair of lotus root cloud-walking boots, a suit of golden chainmail, and a phoenix-winged purple-gold helmet. They presented the armor to Monkey, who eagerly donned it and then, as planned, stormed out of the palace, fully equipped and ready for anything. But that night, Monkey dreams of being whisked away to the land of darkness, the realm ruled by Yama, the king of death. Outraged, he vehemently protests, claiming there has been a grave mistake, because after all, he is immortal. The 10 judges of the dead stand powerless as Monkey brazenly erases his name, along with the names of other Sun monkeys, removing them from the Book of Life and Death. "Now you have no claim over us," he declares triumphantly to the bewildered judges before abruptly waking from his dream. Meanwhile, the Dragon of the Eastern Seas visits the Jade Emperor, ruler of the heavens, within the golden-doored Cloud Palace. The Dragon of the Eastern Sea voices his grievance about Monkey's disruptive behavior. The first judge of the dead echoes similar complaints. Although the Jade Emperor is irritated by these reports, the spirit of the planet Venus, the Morning Star, offers a clever solution. They should indulge Monkey by granting him a minor position in heaven, allowing them to keep an eye on him. The Venus spirit then descends to collect Monkey, who, before departing, promises to his Swan Monkey clan that he will return to them if he finds heaven to be suitable for their next abode. The spirit of the planet Venus escorts Monkey to heaven, where he is given a humble role in the stables. During a feast to celebrate his new position, Monkey inquires about the meaning of his title, only to discover that it is a rank so low that it comes with no salary or status. Enraged by this, Monkey abandons heaven and returns to the mountain of flowers and fruit. Although he has been away for 10 years, it only feels like 2 weeks have passed on Earth. Upon his return, 2 visiting demon kings present Monkey with a gift, and suggest he adopt the title Great Sage, Equal of Heaven. And Monkey is thrilled by this idea. The Jade Emperor, upon learning of Monkey's defiance, sends Vaishravana, also known as Duowan Tianwang, the mighty magic spirit, and his son Natha to bring Monkey back to heaven. but he refuses to leave the mountain unless the Jade Emperor grants him the title Great Sage Equal of Heaven, and he defeats both the mighty magic spirit and Natha in battle. The spirit of the planet Venus advises the Jade Emperor to concede and grant Monkey the title, as long as it comes with no special duties or salary, hoping that life in heaven might temper Monkey's mischievous ways. The Jade Emperor agrees, and Monkey returns to heaven, where he is given a new title and an office, which oversees 2 departments, Peace and Quiet and Calm Spirit. Chapter 5. Now back in heaven, Monkey begins to make friends with various celestial beings and spirits. His idleness, however, starts to make everyone uneasy, so the Jade Emperor assigns him to the task of tending to the Peach Garden, where peaches imbued with powers of levitation and immortality grow. Although Monkey takes his duty seriously, he cannot resist the temptation and eats most of the peaches himself. When the Queen of Heaven announces a peach banquet, Monkey is furious to discover that he has not been invited. In his anger, he sneaks into the banquet rehearsal, gets drunk on wine, and later stumbles into Lao Tzu's palace. There he discovers the highest treasure of the Immortals, an elixir in pill form, and consumes every last pill. Realizing the magnitude of his offenses, Monkey flees back to the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit, but not before making a brief return to heaven to steal more wine. Upon learning of Monkey's misdeeds, the Jade Emperor dispatches an army of 100,000 soldiers to the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit. Monkey effortlessly defeats Heaven's forces, though the ogre and 72 other animals defending him are captured. Unfazed, Monkey reassures his followers, "Not one of our monkey kind was hurt, so there is nothing to worry about." The celestial army regroups at the base of the mountain, preparing for the next day's battle. Chapter 6. The Bodhisattva Guanyin sends her disciple, Huiyan, to observe the battle at the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit. Huiyan, who is Vaishravana's other son, challenges Monkey, but again Monkey emerges victorious. As the situation worsens, Guanyin suggests that the Jade Emperor enlist the help of his magical nephew, Erlang. Though Erlang's magic proves no match for Monkey's, it terrifies Monkey's troops, leading to thousands being captured and the rest fleeing to the cave. Wukong retreats and transforms himself into a fish, diving into the stream. Erlang, in the form of a bird, pursues him, and Monkey continues to evade capture by transforming into various objects, finally taking the form of Erlang himself and hiding in his shrine. The battle rages on, eventually leading back to the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit. Guanyin and Lao Tzu decide to help Erlang, and Lao Tzu hurls the diamond snare at Monkey, causing him to crash to the ground. Erlang's brothers then tie Monkey up and stab a knife into his sternum, also called the loot bone, and by doing this, they render him unable to transform. The Jade Emperor orders Monkey to be brought to heaven, where he is sentenced to be cut into small pieces. Chapter 7. Though this proves incredibly difficult to pull off. Despite being attacked with axes, knives, and thunderbolts, no weapon can harm him. Lao Tzu then subjects Monkey to 50 days in an alchemic fire, but this only serves to redden Monkey's eyes. The conflict between Monkey and Heaven's armies reignites, and this time the Jade Emperor calls on Buddha for assistance. Monkey boldly claims to Buddha that he, not the Jade Emperor, should be the king of heaven. Buddha laughs, pointing out that Monkey has only received half-human form and is unworthy of such a lofty position. Buddha proposes a wager. If Monkey can jump off the palm of Buddha's right hand, he will be declared the king of heaven. If not, he must return to Earth and do penance for many kalpas, enormous eons of time. Confident at this seemingly ridiculous challenge, Monkey accepts, knowing he can leap 108,000 leagues. He jumps and soars through the air until he reaches 5 pinkish pillars. To mark his victory, he signs his name at the base of one pillar and decides to urinate on another. Convinced that he had won, Monkey returns, but Buddha reveals that the pink pillars were in fact his fingers, and that Monkey had never left his palm. Buddha then expels Wukong from heaven, transforming his fingers into the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, which form a mountain to imprison Monkey. Trapped beneath this mountain, Buddha declares, when the days of Monkey's penance are fulfilled, only then he will be set free. The Jade Emperor is profoundly grateful for Buddha's help, but as you might expect, Buddha humbly refuses to take any credit, displaying the exact opposite character of Sun Wukong. Chapter 8. 5 centuries after Monkey's imprisonment, Buddha decides it's time to share the true scriptures with the people of Jambudvipa, who are described as having become greedy, lustful, murderous, and quarrelsome. These scriptures, totaling 15,144 in number, are divided into 35 groups: the Vinaya, which speaks of heaven, the Sastras, which tell of earth, and the Sutras, which save the damned. They are the path to perfection, the only gate to virtue. However, Buddha knows that simply giving these scriptures to the people of the common world would be futile. They wouldn't understand or appreciate their value. Therefore, he needs a pilgrim to journey from China to this sacred site in India where the scriptures are being kept. The Bodhisattva Guanyin volunteers to find the ideal candidate for the mission. Along with her disciple Huyan, she disguises herself as a shabby wandering priest and begins her search for Cha'angang. Despite being recognized by local deities and demons, Guanyin insists on maintaining complete anonymity, declaring that her mission to find the perfect pilgrim must remain a secret. As she and Huyan search, they also prepare the pilgrim's future companions. Sandy and Pigsy, celestial beings who were cast out of heaven for their misdeeds and transformed into monsters, are persuaded by Guanyin to cease eating humans and repent for their sins. They are instructed to await the pilgrim, who they will serve as disciples. A small dragon facing execution agrees to transform into a white horse to carry the pilgrim on his journey to India. The final disciple is to be Wukong, who had been imprisoned all this time under the Mountain of the Five Elements. Monkey vows that he has repented and now seeks only to embrace the faith and devote himself to good works. He too is instructed to wait for the pilgrim. Chapter 9. Chen Wo, his new wife Wen Chao, and his mother embark on a journey to Jiangzhou, where Chen Wo is to take up his new role as a governor. Along the way, Chen Wo's mother falls ill, prompting him to buy fish to help restore her strength. Though upon noticing the fish's unusual eyes, he decides to release it back into the river. While his mother remains at the inn to recover, Chen Wo and Wen Chao continue on their journey, but tragedy strikes when they are ambushed by two bandits near the Hong River. One of the bandits, Liu, murders Chen Wo and the servants, throwing their bodies into the river. He then assumes Chen Wo's identity and kidnaps Wen Chao, unaware that she is already carrying Chen Wo's child. Chen Wo's body is discovered by a yaksha, a nature spirit, who brings it to the attention of the Dragon King. It turns out that the Dragon King was the very fish that Chen Wo had kindly returned to the river. One good deed deserves another, reasons the Dragon King, who retrieves Chen Wo's soul and gives him a new position in the Dragon Realm. As Wen Chao gives birth to her son, she is visited by the Lord of the Southern Pole Star, who informs her that the child is no ordinary mortal and must be protected at all costs. Fearing that the bandit Liu will kill the baby, Wen Chao places the infant on a plank and sends him floating down the river. The baby is eventually rescued by the abbot of the Golden Mountain Temple, who raises him and names him River Float. At the age of 17, the boy becomes a priest and adopts the name Xuanzang. Through a series of prophetic dreams, Wen Chao and Xuanzang are reunited, and together they find Chen Wo's mother, now blind and destitute, and report Liu to the authorities. Liu is executed at the very spot where he murdered Chen Wo, and miraculously, Chen Wo's body rises to the surface and comes back to life. And it is because of this miracle that Xuanzang dedicates himself fully to meditation and spiritual pursuits. Remember, all this time the Monkey King is still trapped, awaiting the pilgrim. Meanwhile, the Dragon King, seeking to protect his aquatic brethren, decides to challenge a fortune teller to predict the weather for the following day. Confident in his ability, the fortune teller, known for accurately forecasting everything down to where a fisherman can catch the best fish, down to where a fisherman can find the best catch, accepts this challenge. It seems like a straightforward contest. However, the Jade Emperor specifically instructs the Dragon King to produce a heavy rainstorm on the exact day predicted by the soothsayer. Unwilling to lose the bet, the Dragon King subtly alters the timing of the Jade Emperor's orders, and as a result, the fortune teller's prediction fails, and the Dragon King, disguised as a scholar, takes his frustration out on the man's shop, destroying everything the soothsayer owned. This fortune teller, however, is unfazed. He recognizes the Dragon King's true identity and warns him that the Jade Emperor plans to execute him for defying a direct order. Desperate, the Dragon King appears in a dream to the Emperor of Tang, pleading for protection. The Emperor agrees to help, but unbeknownst to both of them, the Jade Emperor, also in a dream, visits Minister Wen Zhan and commands him to kill the Dragon King. The next day, to the Emperor of Tiang's shock, Wei Sheng carries out the order, and feeling betrayed, the Dragon King's vengeful spirit haunts the Emperor of Tang to his death, for seeming to break his promise. Before dying, the emperor receives a letter of introduction to Qiu Jiu, a judge of the dead from Weishang. Clutching the letter in his sleeve, the emperor hopes that Qiu Jiu will help him return to the land of the living. Chapter 11. Upon arriving in the underworld, the Emperor of Tang presents the letter, and Qiu Jiu assures him that he will return to the world of light. The Emperor is then brought before the 10 judges of the dead, who find him not guilty of causing the Dragon King's death. Before releasing him, Zhou Chao discreetly alters the Emperor's record, extending his lifespan by 20 years instead of the original sentence of death this year. But sadly, the Emperor learns that his sister's death is imminent. But still grateful, the Emperor promises the judges of the dead a gift of southern melons, and then follows Su Qiu through the city of the slain toward the realm of light. Along the way, dead criminals beg the Emperor for money, but he has none to offer. A living man with considerable credit in the underworld lends him some money, which the Emperor vows to repay once he is resurrected. Captain Shu, his escort, then pushes him into the river, and the Emperor suddenly awakens in his coffin, coughing and sputtering as though he had been drowned. Once he regains his composure, he sends someone to find a volunteer willing to deliver the promised melons to the judges of the dead. Luan steps forward, eager to reunite with his wife, Blue Lotus, who had taken her own life after a marital argument. Luan is given the melons, some money, and a dose of poison to facilitate his journey to the underworld. But upon his arrival, it was discovered that Liu and Blue Lotus were actually destined to live to a ripe old age. Yama, the King of Death, orders their return to the land of the living. But there is a complication. Blue Lotus has been in the underworld for so long that her body is no longer serviceable. Chapter 12. Princess Jadebud suddenly collapses on the palace lawn, leaving everyone to believe she has died as the Book of Fate predicted. However, she soon stirs and awakens, causing confusion when she begins calling out for her husband, despite being unmarried. The mystery is solved when Luan arrives and explains that the soul of his wife, Blue Lotus, now inhabits Jadebud's body. Jadebud's belongings are then sent home with the couple, and Luan is relieved from his manual labor duties. Meanwhile, Zhang Lang graciously refuses the repayment offered by the Emperor of Tang for the money borrowed in the underworld. To show his gratitude, the Emperor orders the construction of the great Chen Wo temple, constructing it in Zhang Lang's honor. The Emperor selects Xuanzang to lead a general mass for the dead, aimed at helping the souls he encountered in the underworld achieve eternal salvation. The Bodhisattva Guanyin hears of Xuanzang's role in the mass and decides that he is the perfect candidate for her pilgrimage. Disguised, she attends the 49-day mass and challenges Xuanzang, questioning why he only teaches from the little vehicle scriptures. He humbly admits that he was unaware of the existence of the greater vehicle scriptures, and the Emperor, initially annoyed by the interruption, now becomes intrigued as Guanyin describes the greater vehicle scriptures housed at the Great Thunderclap Temple in India. Guanyin then reveals her true identity, ascending above the crowd, earning the admiration of both commoners and the Emperor. Inspired, Xuanzang volunteers to travel to India to retrieve the scriptures, which were known as Tripitaka. The Emperor, deeply moved by this, declares Xuanzang and his brother, gifting him a golden alms bowl, a horse, and 2 companions for the journey. He also gives him the name Tripitaka, an order of the scriptures he is to bring back. With a cup of wine laced with earth to symbolize his journey, the newly dubbed Tripitaka sets out on his quest. Chapter 13. Just 2 days into his expedition, Tripitaka is warned by several priests to abandon his mission. They caution him about the treacherous terrain, roads that are infested with panthers and tigers, and the many demons lurking about. But Tripitaka, unwavering in his faith, insists that the heart alone can destroy them. His optimism is quickly challenged the very next day, when the group falls into a pit inhabited by a demon and dozens of ogres. The 3 men are bound, and Tripitaka's companions are devoured. The following day, the spirit of the planet Venus appears in the form of an old man, freeing Tripitaka and assuring him that spiritual beings will assist him on his journey. Tripitaka's path is soon blocked by menacing tigers, serpents, and scorpions. A hunter comes to his rescue, taking him to his home where he lives with his wife and mother. Though unnerved by their carnivorous diet and the trophy heads on the walls, Tripitaka is grateful for the shelter. The next day, he conducts a mass in honor of the hunter's deceased father. And that night, the hunter's family dreams of their patriarch being freed from evil karma, and being reborn as the child of a wealthy landowner. In gratitude, the hunter accompanies Tripitaka to the next leg of his journey. They part ways at the Mountain of the Two Frontiers, which marks the border between the Tang Dynasty and the land of the Tartars. As Tripitaka despairs at the daunting task ahead, he hears a voice from beneath the mountain, which is crying out repeatedly, "The Master has come." Chapter 14. The voice Tripitaka hears belongs to Monkey, who has been in prison for 500 years beneath the mountain, which over time has been renamed the Mountain of the Two Frontiers. Monkey explains that Guan Yin has chosen him to accompany Tripitaka on his journey. The monk removes the seal atop the mountain, freeing Monkey from his stone prison. And eager to prove his worth, Wukong quickly slays a menacing tiger, but Tripitaka is appalled when he also kills 6 robbers. He admonishes Monkey, saying it would have been better to bring them before a magistrate. Monkey argues that he acted to save Tripitaka's life, but the priest insists that Monkey cannot accompany him to India if he reverts to his old violent ways. Frustrated, Monkey leaves in a huff, leaping through the clouds to visit the Dragon King of the Eastern Ocean, who, like everyone else, advises him to learn patience. Soon after, Tripitaka encounters an old woman who he recognizes as the Bodhisattva Guan Yin in disguise. She gifts him a brocade coat and thin gold headband, which along with a spell or special sutra can control the monkey. When Wukong returns and claims to have visited the Dragon King, Tripitaka scolds him for lying, and Monkey catches sight of the fancy coat and gold band and asks to wear them, which of course Tripitaka allows. The moment Monkey puts that band upon his head, Tripitaka recites the spell, causing it to tighten painfully. Realizing that Guan Yin had foreseen this moment, Monkey promises to obey Tripitaka, but he reaches behind his ear and pulls out his trusty iron cudgel, which he was keeping stored in the form of a needle. When Tripitaka activates the spell again, Monkey now sees that there is no escape and he fully understands the magic's origin. He submits fully and vows to protect the priest faithfully to the end. Chapter 15. Monkey and Tripitaka arrive at the banks of Eagle Grief Stream, where a dragon suddenly bursts from the water and swallows Tripitaka's horse whole. He's overwhelmed with despair and begins to cry, lamenting that without a horse, they'll never reach India. But undeterred, Monkey mocks the dragon and dives into a fierce battle, but the dragon soon retreats, sulking at the bottom of the river. Frustrated, Tripitaka quips, "I don't understand why you're struggling so much with this dragon today," which works to provoke Monkey into yet another confrontation with the beast. Meanwhile, a celestial guardian who has been watching over Tripitaka seeks the help of Bodhisattva Guan Yin. When she arrives, Monkey, still fuming, chastises her for placing him under Tripitaka's command, and for the cursed cap that torments him. Guan Yin, with serene patience, explains that the dragon was meant to join their pilgrimage from the beginning. If only Monkey had revealed their identities and mission, all of this could have been avoided. With a gentle wave of her hand, Guan Yin transforms the dragon into a horse, identical to the one that was devoured. With the dragon horse now in their company, Guan Yin departs, and Monkey, Tripitaka, and their new companion cross the river, with the help of an old fisherman in his raft. When Tripitaka offers payment, the old man refuses, leading Monkey to reveal that the fisherman is actually a river deity, though Tripitaka is skeptical whether he should believe him. Chapter 16. As they continue their journey, Monkey and Tripitaka encounter Cao Sai, a young farmhand desperate to find an exorcist to rid his family of his sister's husband, whom he labels a monster. Every exorcist he has consulted has turned out to be either disgraced monks or charlatan Taoists. All of them failed to help, and Monkey, with his usual confidence, volunteers to tackle the issue. When they reach the farm, Mr. Gao recounts how a handsome fellow named Hog arrived 3 years earlier, offering to trade his labor for a bride. Mr. Gao, seeking a suitable husband for his youngest daughter, Blue Orchid, readily agrees, and at first Hog proved to be a diligent worker, but to the family's horror, his appearance gradually transformed into that of a pig. And since then, he has nearly eaten them out of the house, and he keeps Blue Orchid isolated from everyone else. As night falls, Monkey devises a plan, freeing Blue Orchid and taking on her appearance. When Hog returns home, unaware of this ruse, Monkey cleverly learns his true name is Pigsy Bristles, before revealing himself as the great sage who created havoc in heaven. Pigsy flees in terror. Chapter 17. The tale continues with Monkey tracking Pigsy to the Cloud Ladder Cave, where they engage in another battle, and at dawn, Monkey returns to Mr. Gao's farm and explains that Pigsy is not truly a monster, but a former resident of heaven who is now serving out punishment on Earth. He reassures Mr. Gao that while Pigsy has an insatiable appetite, he's a hard worker who has contributed much to the farm. But Mr. Gao remains mortified by the neighborhood gossips surrounding his inhuman son-in-law. Determined to resolve this situation, Monkey returns to the cave to capture Pigsy, and as they argue, Monkey tells Pigsy about Tripitaka's mission. Touched by the sincerity of the pilgrimage, Pigsy confesses his own story of conversion and reveals that Guan Yin instructed him to await a pilgrim. Though still skeptical, Monkey brings Pigsy back to the farm, where it is decided that he will join the expedition. Mr. Gao tries to reward Monkey and Tripitaka for their help, but Tripitaka refuses any payment. Pigsy, on the other hand, demands a new coat and shoes as compensation for his work. Before they depart, Pigsy advises Mr. Gao to look after his bride, should things go awry in India. Chapter 18. With the new member to the group, they arrive at the River of Flowing Sands, only to be ambushed by a fearsome monster adorned with a necklace of skulls. While Monkey guards Tripitaka, Pigsy engages the beast, but it soon retreats into the depths of the river. Pigsy is adept in water and devises a plan to lure the creature ashore, but it fails. Exasperated, Monkey somersaults into the sky to seek Guan Yin's guidance once more. "You obstinate ape," she chides, "this is exactly like before." She reveals that the monster is destined to be their companion, and to resolve this misunderstanding, she sends her disciple Hui Yen to the River of Flowing Sands alongside Monkey. Hui Yen calls out the creature's true name, Sandy, and explains this whole situation. The irritated Pigsy scolds Sandy for not joining their party from the beginning, which causes Monkey to laugh, realizing the fault lies with them for not properly introducing themselves, and the group reconciles. Hui Yen then constructs a boat from a gourd and Sandy's skull necklace, which enables the pilgrims to safely cross the river together. Chapter 19. While the pilgrims are staying at the Treasure Wood Temple in the Kingdom of Crow Chicken, the ghost of the former king visits Tripitaka in a dream. The king reveals a tragic story. 5 years ago, the kingdom suffered a terrible drought, and a magician was summoned to bring rain. The magician's spells brought prosperity back to the land, but 2 years later, he betrayed the king, throwing him into a well, before taking his form and seizing the throne. The spirit that wanders at night has informed the dead king that Monkey could help avenge his death and restore the crown. The key to this plan lies with the prince, who had been kept isolated by the magician. The king gives Tripitaka a white jade tablet that the prince should recognize as a token of his father. Monkey agrees to help, and the next day, during a haunting expedition, he cleverly lures the prince and his 3,000 officers to the temple. There, Tripitaka and Monkey tell the prince about the magician's treachery, but the prince is skeptical. Monkey advises him to return to the palace and ask his mother a question that will reveal the truth. The prince leaves his officers at the temple and secretly heads home. Chapter 20. Back at the palace, the Empress confides in her son that for 3 years, her husband has been cold as ice. In verse, she reveals, "He told me age had impaired his strength and that things did not work." The prince shows his mother the white jade tablet and tells her that Tripitaka and Monkey claim that the man on the throne is an imposter. The Empress does not dispute this. Just last night, her real husband appeared to her in a dream and told her that he was dead. With his mother's confirmation, the prince returns to the temple, where Monkey instructs him to gather dead animals for him and his companions to collect. They need to avoid suspicion by returning from a hunting expedition with game, and as they plan their next move, Tripitaka asks, "If you think it's too difficult, why do it?" Monkey clarifies that the issue isn't difficult, but the legality of it. Monkey enlists Pigsy's help by telling him that they're going to steal the magician's treasure. Pigsy agrees, providing he can keep the loot. Under the cover of night, they sneak into the Imperial Flower Garden and find the well where the king was drowned. Pigsy dives into the well and reaches the entrance to the Dragon King of the well's crystal palace. Instead of treasure, the Dragon King gives Pigsy the Emperor's corpse. Refusing to bring the body out, Pigsy only relents when the monkey threatens to leave him behind forever. Angry at Monkey for forcing him, Pigsy tells Tripitaka that Monkey can go retrieve the king. Wukong, however, insists that it is impossible, that the king has been dead for 3 years. Yet Pigsy, determined not to be cheated out of his revenge, convinces Tripitaka to perform the headache spell, pincing that headband so tight that it causes Monkey's eyes to bulge out in pain. Chapter 21. Tripitaka releases Monkey after he promises to revive the dead king in the world of light. Instead of seeking aid in the underworld, Monkey then ascends to the 33rd heaven and finds Lao Tzu, who is brewing more elixir. Though Lao Tzu is still furious with Monkey, he eventually agrees to give him a single grain of the 9 times sublimated life-restoring elixir. With this, Monkey brings the king back to life. Grateful, the revived emperor of Crow Chicken expresses his thanks. In an embarrassed Tripitaka acknowledges that Monkey deserves all the credit. Monkey is satisfied with the outcome, and the pilgrim then dresses the king as a servant and heads to the palace to get their papers put in order. The false king is furious when Monkey and the others refuse to bow to him, but the prince manages to calm him. Monkey then introduces his companions as actually the true king of Crow Chicken. The magician, realizing he's been exposed, flees on a cloud with Monkey giving chase. The magician eventually flies into the city and assumes Tripitaka's form, which confuses everyone. Unable to distinguish between his master and the imposter, Monkey awaits until Tripitaka performs the cap-tightening spell, forcing the real Tripitaka to reveal himself. The magician flees into the clouds again, with Monkey, Pigsy, and Sandy in pursuit. Just as Monkey is about to finish off the magician, the Bodhisatta Wen Shu intervenes, revealing that the magician is actually his blue-maned lion. Years earlier, Wen Shu had visited Crow Chicken in disguise, but the emperor, failing to recognize him, had him thrown in the river, and in response, the Bodhisattva complained to Buddha, who sent the lion to push the king into the well as retribution, leaving him there for 3 years. Although Monkey finds this punishment harsh, Wen Shu insists that no harm was done. The drought ended, and the kingdom prospered. With the misunderstanding resolved, the lion returns to its true form, and Wen Shu departs with his companion. Chapter 22. The Emperor of Crow Chicken isn't keen on reclaiming his throne, and neither Tripitaka nor Monkey have any interest in ruling. Tripitaka prefers his life as a priest, and Monkey is content with a lazy, comfortable existence. They decline the king's gifts and set off on their journey once more. Soon they are startled by the hubbub of 100,000 voices, prompting Monkey to investigate. He arrives at the kingdom of Cart Slow, where 3 Taoist immortals have won the emperor's favor. Under their influence, Taoism has taken over the kingdom, with Buddhist temples destroyed and anyone resembling a Buddhist priest forced into slavery. Disguising himself as a Taoist priest, Monkey gains the trust of the emperor's 2 favored Taoists, who oversee 500 Buddhist slaves. They allow him to speak with the Buddhists privately. Terrified of Monkey in his disguise, the Buddhists nonetheless reveal that they have been visited in dreams, where they were told of a pilgrim and his disciple, the great sage equal to heaven, who would destroy the Taoists and restore the followers of Zen to their rightful place. With this knowledge, Monkey demands the release of the slaves. When the Taoists refuse, he reveals his true form and slays them with his iron rod. Monkey then persuades Sandy and Pigsy to feast on the offerings left at the Grand Taoist Mass. They take the places of statues representing the Taoist Trinity, statues that Pigsy has unceremoniously stashed in the restroom, while they indulge in the banquet. A frightened Taoist overhears them and runs to alert the Immortals. Chapter 23. The 3 Immortals, Ram Strength, Deer Strength, and Tiger Strength, rush into the temple, convinced that their gods are nearby. They pray fervently for holy water and elixir. Monkey, Pigsy, and Sandy mischievously urinate into 3 containers, presenting it to the Immortals as the holy water they requested. After the Immortals drink it, Monkey reveals their true identities, that they are priests from China, and what the Immortals have drinking is not the water of life, but just their piss. The trio then flee before the Immortals can catch them. The next day, Tripitaka and his disciples go to the court to have their passports stamped. The Emperor of Kartslo is furious to see Buddhists, especially after the Immortals accuse them of releasing slaves, for impersonating the Taoist Trinity and murdering the 2 young Taoists. Monkey denies all accusations, and the Emperor decrees that Tripitaka and his companions may go free if they can defeat the Immortals in a rain-making contest. If they lose, they will be executed. Deer Strength Immortal performs elaborate rituals reciting spells, burning diagrams, and brandishing a sword as he prays to the gods of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. Just as the wind begins to rise, Monkey leaps into the air and instructs the old woman of the wind to hold off the gale until he calls for it. He does the same with Cloud Boy, Mist Lad, and Thunder God, as well as the Mother of Lightnings. Back on Earth, the sky remains clear, and the Immortal tells the king that the rain dragons are not home today. When it's Monkey's turn, Tripitaka recites scriptures, and Monkey points his rod at the sky, summoning a ferocious storm that drenches the kingdom for hours. And although Deer Strength Immortal insists that he is the true victor, Monkey challenges them to summon the 4 Dragon Kings. The Immortals fail, and Monkey emerges victorious. Chapter 24. The Immortals, desperate to prove their superiority, beg the king for one final chance. They propose a meditation contest where Tripitaka and Tiger Strength Immortal must meditate atop 50 small tables without moving. One of the other Immortals sends a louse to distract Tripitaka, who instinctively moves his head in irritation. Monkey transforms into a gnat, removes the louse, and then morphs into a centipede, crawling up Tiger Strength Immortal's nose and causing him to fall from the tables. Next, the Immortals challenge the Buddhist to guess the contents of a box. With Monkey's help, who again transforms into a gnat and alters the box contents, Tripitaka correctly identifies the items each time. The king is ready to stamp the Buddhist passports, but the Immortals aren't done yet. They propose 3 tests of endurance: beheading, disembowelment, and sitting in a pot of boiling oil. Monkey survives all 3 and tricks the Immortals into attempting the same. When they, of course, fail, their true forms are revealed as a ram, a deer, and a tiger, the animals that corresponded to their Taoist name. During the final challenge, Monkey learns from the Dragon King of the Northern Ocean that the Immortals aren't genuine Taoists, but rather 3 tricksters who managed to escape their original form. The king, who was unaware of this deception, weeps in despair at this revelation. Chapter 25. The Emperor of Kartslow weeps over the loss of the 3 Immortals, but Monkey quickly points out that they were merely bewitched wild animals, plotting the king's destruction. The 500 Buddhists whom Monkey freed visit the court to express their gratitude. Monkey takes the opportunity to remind them that Buddhism is the true way and that the 3 religions are one. As the pilgrims continue their journey, they arrive at the river that leads to heaven, which is far too wide and deep for them to cross. Hearing distant Buddhist music, they decide to spend the night in a nearby village ruled by the Great King of Miracles. Despite his grand title, the king is a tyrant who demands an annual sacrifice. One family must offer a son and a daughter as his dinner. This year, the victims are War Boy and Load of Gold, the only children of the 2 elderly Qian brothers, one of whom has been hosting these pilgrims for the night. To save the children, Monkey transforms himself into War Boy and forces Pigsy to take on the form of Load of Gold. Although Pigsy struggles, as his abilities extend only to 36 transformations compared to Monkey's 72, but Monkey leaves him no choice. Having already devoured a feast that was meant for dozens, Pigsy grudgingly agrees to the plan, and with Monkey's help, they prepare to be sacrificed. Chapter 26. Monkey and Pigsy are served to the Great King of Miracles on 2 platters. But when the king reaches for the girl, Pigsy springs from the platter and reveals his true form, followed by Monkey. They draw their weapons and attack the king, who flees to his palace beneath the river. There, he and a perch mother plot to capture Tripitaka, believing that if they eat this holy man, they will achieve eternal life. The Great King of Miracles sends a freezing chill across the land, causing Tripitaka to nearly give up hope. After 7 long years on the road, he's unwilling to wait for the thaw and decides to cross the frozen river just as the king intended. As the pilgrims traverse the ice, the king shatters it, seizing Tripitaka. The perch mother insists that they refrain from eating him immediately, as the arrival of his disciples would spoil their fun, and so they place Tripitaka in a stone chest for safekeeping. Pigsy, Monkey, Sandy, and the horse return to Mr. Chan's house, where the brothers are distraught over Tripitaka's capture. But Monkey remains calm, confident that they will rescue their master. Chapter 27. The search for Tripitaka takes the 3 disciples to the bottom of the river. Monkey transforms into a crab, finds the master in the turtle house, and reassures him that rescue is imminent. Meanwhile, Pigsy engages the Great King of Miracles in a battle of insults and weaponry, of course, with Sandy by his side. Monkey joins the fight when they surface, but during a lull in the combat, he takes to the clouds to seek help from Bodhisattva Guanyin. Guanyin, without delay, even neglecting her hair, rushes with Monkey to the river, and there she chants a charm and catches a goldfish in a basket, revealing that the Great King of Miracles is in fact just a goldfish, who came from her lotus pond after gaining magical powers and escaping. She had been inspecting the pond when Monkey arrived, and realizing what had happened, she quickly crafted the basket to save Tripitaka from the river's depths. As the villagers begin to construct a boat for the pilgrims, an enormous turtle emerges, offering to carry the Buddhist across the river on his back. This turtle is the true owner of Turtle House, which had been usurped by the cunning goldfish. Grateful for the return of his home, the turtle wishes to repay the Buddhists. After safely delivering them across the river, the turtle asks Tripitaka to inquire of Buddha how much longer he must wait to achieve human form, as he has been a turtle for 1,000 years and longs to progress on his journey. Chapter 28. As they say goodbye and continue on, the pilgrims finally reach the holy mountain, only to find their path blocked by a swiftly flowing river. Monkey, with his usual agility, easily crosses the narrow, slippery bridge, but the others are too frightened to follow. Instead, they opt for a ride on a bottomless boat, guided by the conductor of souls, who ferries souls to their salvation. As Tripitaka tries to board the boat, he slips and falls into the water, but manages to scramble onto the side with the others. Moments later, they see a body floating downstream, and it's Tripitaka's. He has shed his earthly body in exchange for the transcendent wisdom that leads to the further shore. The disciples escort the traveling Buddhist to Shakyamuni Buddha, who, after a brief critique of the people of China, offers Tripitaka a portion of the 15,144 holy scriptures. Buddha then instructs 2 of his disciples to take the pilgrims to the lower treasury for a feast. As they eat, Pigsy and Sandy begin to transform from common flesh and bone into something more celestial. But Buddha's disciples demand gifts in exchange for the scriptures. Since Tripitaka has nothing to offer, they trick him by giving him blank scrolls. It's only after the pilgrims have left the mountain that they realize the deception. They return to confront Buddha, who explains that scriptures ought not to be given on too easy terms or received freely. Tripitaka reluctantly exchanges the golden bowl in exchange for 5,048 scrolls with actual text. Although, after this exchange, mysteriously, the Buddha says that the blank scrolls are actually the true scriptures. Afterward, Bodhisattva Guanyin informs Buddha that Tripitaka has been on his journey for 5,040 days. If he returns home in 8 days, the length of his journey will match the number of scriptures he was given. Buddha sees the numerological significance here and sends 8 deities to help the pilgrims make a swift return. Chapter 29. The deities carry the pilgrims eastward on a magic cloud until Guanyin reminds them that they must face one more trial, bringing the total number of trials to 81. They are dropped onto the shore of the river that flows to heaven, where they encounter the enormous turtle who had previously helped them. The turtle offers to ferry them across the river, but when he learns that Tripitaka did not inquire about his next reincarnation as promised, he angrily dumps them into the water, soaking the sacred scrolls. By the time they reach the shore, an enormous storm is brewing, and Monkey senses that every spirit in heaven and earth is driven by jealousy and intends to steal the scriptures. Fortunately, Monkey managed to protect everyone, and Tripitaka keeps the scrolls safe. The scrolls are then laid out on a rock to dry, and before long, 2 workers from Mr. Qian's farm arrive with an invitation. Tripitaka is reluctant, but he wants to get home, and he eventually agrees to visit Mr. Qian. While retrieving the scrolls from the rock, one of the scrolls tears, but Monkey reassures him that it's nothing to worry about. Mr. Qian hosts a feast in the honor of the pilgrims, but even Pigsy shows little interest in the food. They tour the shrine that has been built in their honor and spend part of the night there. Before dawn, while everyone is still asleep, they quietly slip away to avoid being pressed for secrets of enlightenment, and their celestial guardians are already waiting for them. Chapter 30. 14 years after their journey began, Tripitaka and his companions finally arrive in the Qiang'an. The Emperor of Tang warmly welcomes the pilgrims, and they present him with the scrolls. The next morning, the Emperor bestows upon Tripitaka a document of gratitude, which is now known as the Introduction to Buddha's Holy Teachings. As Tripitaka begins reading the scriptures to an assembled crowd, he, Monkey, Pigsy, Sandy, and the white horse rise into the air, all ascending to the 9th heaven. After their departure, the true scriptures of the greater vehicle are read aloud, saving multitudes of lost souls from darkness. In paradise, Buddha rewards each pilgrim with a rank and title. Tripitaka is named Buddha of Precious Merit, while Monkey becomes Buddha Victorious in Combat. The troublesome golden headband that once controlled Monkey has now disappeared, as it is no longer needed. But much to his dismay, Pigsy is not made a Buddha. His lustful and gluttonous nature still holds him back. But as a consolation, he is appointed cleanser of the altar, allowing him to eat the offerings made by Buddhists around the world. Sandy is elevated to the ranks of golden-bodied Arhat, an enlightened being, and the white horse transforms into a senior heavenly dragon almost instantly. The spirits of heaven gather to pray to all the deities, a list that now includes these 5 new names. And so we see that Sun Wukong, the Monkey King who began as a mischievous rebel challenging the heavens, emerged from his trials as Buddha victorious in combat, a symbol of perseverance, intelligence, and the indomitable spirit. Sun Wukong's journey from a stone-born monkey to a revered deity encapsulates the essence of transformation and redemption. His cleverness, courage, and determination resonate with people across generations, making him one of the most beloved figures in Chinese folklore and spirituality. Even today, Sun Wukong is venerated in temples and shrines throughout East Asia, especially in China and Taiwan, but really the rest of Asia as a whole, including into Korea and Japan. Worshippers seek his protection and blessings, particularly in matters of courage, overcoming obstacles, and achieving success against all odds. His image is often depicted wielding his magical staff, the Rui Jingdu Bang, symbolizing the power and adaptability of the Buddha victorious in combat. There are many festivals celebrating the Monkey King in appreciation for the continuing service that this story provides to people, inspiring countless people over the centuries. A tale that is kept alive through literature, theater, and modern media, and seen as a symbol that anyone, no matter how much they may have offended the gods at one point, may still see victory and enlightenment. But that's it for the true story of Sun Wukong. If you made it this far, please hit that like button, it's the best way to help me out. Leave a comment, subscribe to see more, and check out these other videos, I'm sure you'll like them. But most important of all, remember, the real path to enlightenment was the path itself, and may you be victorious and achieve peace.